You can almost feel the biting wind whipping across the desolate Castilian plain, making the smoke swirl and the candle flames dance frantically against the encroaching dark in this artwork. This is Francisco Pradilla Ortiz's 1877 masterpiece, Doña Juana la Loca. It is a painting that doesn't just show you a scene, it forces you to physically inhabit it. Because it gives us a queen, yes, a queen, but it places her in the mud. It surrounds her with the exhausted, the bored, and the indifferent. And right there, in the center of this swirling, gray atmosphere, it places a void. To understand why this image haunts me, we have to understand the journey that led to this barren field. This is the winter of 1506, turning into 1507. The woman standing rigid in the black velvet is Juana I of Castile. She is royalty in every sense of the word, the daughter of the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella, and the mother of the future Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. But here, she is defined by none of those titles. Here, she is defined by the coffin at her side. Inside that lead-lined box lies the body of her husband, Philip the Handsome. Philip had died suddenly in Burgos, and Juana, consumed by a grief that the world labeled as madness, refused to let him go. She embarked on a macabre pilgrimage, a funeral procession across the freezing plateau, traveling only at night. The chronicles tell us she believed that a woman who has lost the sun of her soul should not expose herself to the light of day. Pradilla captures a specific, legendary anecdote from this journey. The court had stopped to rest at a convent. It would have been a warm, logical place to spend the night. But upon discovering the convent was inhabited by nuns, Juana's legendary jealousy, a retrospective jealousy that extended beyond the grave, flared up. She refused to bring her husband's body under the roof of other women. Instead, she ordered the coffin to be placed right here, in the open fields, amidst the wind and the dirt. She chose the cold over the risk of a phantom infidelity. And so, the court waits. Look at how the artist constructs this architecture of isolation. The composition is anchored by a powerful diagonal line, stretching from the bottom right to the top left, suggesting the endless movement of the road and the weary journey. Though here, everything is arrested in a moment of freezing stasis. But that is only half the trap. If you look closely, a second invisible line cuts across the first, starting at the heavy black mass of the coffin on the left, following the violent upward drift of the smoke, and pointing directly to the faint outline of the church tower in the distance. These two lines crash into each other to form a jagged, cruciform shape across the landscape. And right at the intersection, as if crucified between the corpse she loves and the sanctuary she refuses to enter, stands the queen. Pradilla uses space as a weapon here. He places Juana slightly off-center, but he isolates her completely. There is a deliberate, palpable gap between her and the rest of the world. To her left is the coffin, the object of her obsession. To her right is the huddle of courtiers and servants. And in between, nothing but smoke and distance. That plume of smoke rising from the campfire acts as a physical barrier that cuts her off from the warmth of the fire and the warmth of human contact. One can say that it separates the mad queen from the sane society. Stylistically, this is eclectic realism at its finest. The sky presses down, the wind whips the smoke, but look at the mud. That rutted, dirty foreground reminds us that no matter how much gold lines that coffin, it is still being dragged through the dirt. This isolation is deepened by the courtiers. Instead of theatrical weeping, Pradilla gives us fatigue and boredom. They are huddled by the fire, resigned and annoyed, representing the rational world that has lost patience with the queen's grief. Their indifference creates a brutal friction. the Queen's absolute, uncompromising emotion crashing against a world that just wants to get out of the cold. It forces us, the viewers, into the uncomfortable role of voyeurs, watching a private disintegration in public. This brings us to the philosophical heart of the work. We can look at this painting through the lens of the great 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer spoke of the world as will and representation. The will is a blind, irrational, striving force that drives existence. It is desire. It is life clinging to itself. Representation is the world of order, logic, and social structures. In this field, Juana is the embodiment of the will. Her refusal to bury Philip, her refusal to accept the finality of death, is a radical, almost terrifying assertion of the will to life. She is denying the negation of existence. She is standing there, pregnant, as the history tells us, and as her heavy velvet dress subtly conceals, guarding a corpse, suspended between life and death. She is Sisyphus, but her boulder is a coffin. The court, conversely, acts as the world of representation. They are bound by protocols, schedules, and physical necessity. They don't see a tragedy, they see a delay. They just want to get to the next town and sleep. In this light, the painting argues that madness is simply a form of absolute subjectivity, a refusal to compromise one's inner truth for the sake of external comfort. Juana's intensity renders the sane world trivial. All the pomp of the court, the hierarchy, the religion feels hollow compared to the sheer scale of her will. This philosophical clash isn't just intellectual, it is physical. This is where we enter the realm of neuroaesthetics. When we look at Juana, our brains don't just record the image, they simulate it. Her rigid posture and clenched hands trigger our mirror neurons, causing us to unconsciously stiffen our backs or tighten our jaws. We literally embody her tension. The environment amplifies this. We see the courtiers huddling for warmth and the candles flickering in the wind, and we instinctively feel that chill and anxiety. Pradilla uses these somatic triggers to make us feel the sheer weight of the scene, anchored by that heavy, lead-lined coffin. It isn't just a picture of sadness, it is a simulation of the physical exhaustion that comes with grief. But there is another layer here, one that shifts as our understanding of history changes. For a long time, this painting was viewed as the ultimate depiction of locura de amor, love madness. It fit perfectly into the 19th century romantic ideal that women were creatures of excess emotion, liable to be shattered by the intensity of their own hearts. It naturalized her condition. However, when we look at it today, the discomfort shifts. We don't just see a mad woman, we see a political prisoner. Modern historians have reevaluated Juana's life, suggesting that her madness was, at least in part, a convenient construct engineered by the men in her life to usurp her power. She was the rightful Queen of Castile, yet she spent decades confined. From this perspective, Pradilla's painting takes on a sinister, gaslighting quality. The void around her isn't just madness, it's the space cleared by then patriarchal system that has no place for a queen who refuses to be managed. The boredom of the courtiers becomes complicity. They are watching her unravel, and they are doing nothing. They are the jailers in waiting. The empty chair behind her becomes a powerful symbol in this reading. It's a folding chair with a cushion, offering rest. She refuses to sit in it. In the romantic view, this is her mania. In the revisionist view, this is her resistance. She stands to maintain her vigil. She stands to assert her control over the king's body, which is the only leverage she has left. It is an act of defiance. Even the landscape participates in this ambiguity. The bare tree trunk to the right, standing against the winter sky, is a classic symbol of death. Pradilla paints the smoke from the fire so thick that it obscures the convent in the distance. We can barely see the building that triggered this whole episode. By hiding the convent, Pradilla focuses us entirely on the reaction, not the cause. He strips away the context of her jealousy and leaves us only with the raw, exposed nerve of her suffering. Ultimately, Doña Juana la Loca is a painting about the failure of connection. It depicts a woman surrounded by people, yet completely alone. It depicts a queen with absolute power who is powerless to change the one thing that matters. The brilliance of Pradilla lies in his refusal to resolve the tension. He doesn't show us a moment of healing. He doesn't show us the end of the journey. He leaves us in the middle of the field, in the middle of the night, with the wind howling. He forces us to wait with her. As we step away from the canvas, the feeling that lingers isn't just pity. It's a haunting sense of the absurd. We have witnessed a collision between the cold, hard reality of the world and the burning, irrational refusal of the human spirit to accept it. We leave the painting, but Juana remains, rigid, frozen, and forever waiting in the dark, caught in that terrible, beautiful, and muddy space between the love that drives us mad and the history that forgets us.